Hey guys, welcome to this video. I wanted to do another pick a card reading because these have been really fun when I've done them in the past, and I'm just itching to play around with some cards. So welcome to this reading. I have 3 decks here. We have the Druidcraft Tarot with this quartz, rose quartz. So I just love this deck. I also have the new Palladini Tarot, which is kind of like a pastel Game of Thrones, if I had to describe it. But this one is with the clear quartz. So if you're drawn to this one, pay attention for that reading. And I have the Nap Hall Tarot, and I'm putting that with this amethyst. So the Nap Hall is a bit more of a pip style deck, at least the minors are pips. So if you're drawn to that one, it's a really unique deck, and I just think the symbolism is just really amazing. So settle in, pick your deck, and let's get to it. All right, so if you picked the Druidcraft Tarot deck, this is your reading. And again, we're looking at the energies of the next month to, I would say, several weeks to a month. This energy is kind of open-ended, but it's just kind of what you're working with right now. Anything that you might benefit from knowing. Messages for those who chose the Druidcraft Tarot. These cards. Clear messages for those who picked Druidcraft Tarot. Angels. Give us clear direct messages to those who chose the Druidcraft Tarot. Let's take a look here. Okay. And I'm also going to draw a large top card. I love this deck because it's just extra huge, and I just think it really gives the detail and the beauty of the artwork a chance to come through. Let me get all right, and we're going to get also a surrender message. All right, so let's take a look here. We've got 10 of Cups, 6 of Wands, Queen of Swords, and the 6 of Cups. Interesting. So I feel like with the 10 of Cups and the 6 of Wands, there's definitely a sense of going through some kind of achievement process. And it feels with the Queen of Swords there as well, it's almost like you are experiencing a lot of growth at this time in your life, but you're not like, the significance of it isn't lost on you. It feels like there's something that is taking on a different meaning. I almost want to say like you're evolving. And with the 10 of Cups, this can be a card of, people call it the happy family card. So there's a sense of really enjoying the people in your life and enjoying, the situation that you're in. Some of you, it almost feels like you're breathing a sigh of relief in a way, and proceeding with more courage. So I don't know if some of you have kind of felt like a heavier energy if you chose this deck in the recent past, but it's almost like those clouds are parting and you're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. You're feeling like you've come through something, and that's really echoed by the 6 of Wands card, because this card often does relate to when we've been through a harrowing experience or we've been through a challenging experience. And then it's like the hero's journey, it's the part of the hero's journey when the hero comes home with the elixir. So he might still be kind of tired, and he might still feel kind of wary of the trials and tribulations that he's just encountered, but he also knows that he's home now. So there's a sense of like relief with that. So there is like a feeling of determination on some level that you're not going to go back to like where you were before, whether that was maybe like a dark place in your own mind, or a challenging experience in a relationship, or maybe you just have left a negative job situation or something like that. But it really feels like you're kind of breathing a sigh of relief after having come through some sort of a harrowing experience. And now it's like you're the Queen of Swords kind of sitting on top of your throne, thinking like she's sharpening her sword. So it's almost like she's saying, and now I'm going to clean house, like now that I'm through this experience, I'm going to make sure that the weeds don't grow back again. Basically, I don't want to get lost in the weeds again. So it's almost like she's kind of sharpening her intention. And one thing that does come to mind with this is like setting intentions on a daily basis, or even before activities that you do, which would help you kind of to stay in the moment and not kind of get carried away or distracted with things that might have a tendency to sort of pull you back into an energy that you're just done with. It's like you want to really leave the past in the past. And the Six of Cups, I'm looking at this as kind of like an energy that's coming up more so. It's almost like, it's like if you chose this deck, I feel like the cards are just saying, enjoy the simple things in life. And I think that that's for some reason easier for you right now, because maybe if you have gone through a challenging experience recently, it's almost like you now are fully equipped with the ability to appreciate the small stuff. You're kind of in a position at the moment where it's easy for you to find that sense of gratitude and to find that kind of vibration of grace. I want to say, because you're just like, wow, it's really peaceful here, and I really appreciate that. Like there's just this natural sense. So definitely nurturing your relationships comes through a lot throughout this entire reading, but always staying vigilant not to kind of slip back into like old habits, or not to let yourself basically to stand guard. And to be ever sort of watchful over like what you're letting into your life now, because you are at this new beginning point, right? So it does feel to me like there is this sense with the Queen of Swords of like a commitment to an intention, or a commitment to living your life a different way. And part of that is going to be about, trimming the weeds back, cutting the grass, making sure that everything's exposed, not letting any like dark, creepy little places develop in your life, right? And one of the best ways to do that is just to tell the truth, regardless of whatever the situation is. Speaking your truth kind of helps you to make sure that there's no like unintentional shadowy stuff kind of slipping in, right? So that's kind of the feeling, though. It is a victory energy. It is a sense of, having come through a dark time. We even have a rainbow on this card in the background. So it's like the rainbow after the storm. So your Thoth card is the Five of Cups. And then your surrender card is Surrender Worry. So the Five of Cups in this card is associated with Mars and Scorpio. And it's actually, Kayleigh calls it disappointment. Sometimes the names of these cards can be a little bit harsh sounding, but actually with the Surrender Worry card, it makes sense, because I also feel like even though there is something, that you genuinely have moved away from, I feel like there's this concern that's maybe weighing on you, like either uncertainty about the future, or maybe a fear of like backsliding somehow. But I feel like these cards are saying like, it's time to surrender that fear of disappointment. It's time to surrender that fear and worry, because by putting attention onto it, it's going to do is kind of draw that energy back to you. Whereas if you find it in yourself to kind of give yourself those moments to recalibrate, come back to yourself, take a breath, reorient, right? I think that's going to give you the ability to kind of recognize in any given moment, like what actually matters to you, so that you're not slipping into any kind of old feedback loops, right? Whether it's in a relationship, getting into the same argument with someone over and over again, or, slipping back into something like going back to a relationship that hasn't served, or, so on and so forth. It's going to be unique for each of you. But the Surrender Worry card says, make a commitment not to lead an anxiety-driven life. When worries arise, breathe them out of your body. Focus on the power of your heart and have faith that Spirit is guiding you always. So yeah, surrender worry. There you go. I think it's a really beautiful message, and it really fits, because I think you've been through a lot if you chose this deck, but you are on the other side of it, so you don't need to have the same fears that you have had in the past. Okay? So that is your reading. I hope that's helpful over the coming weeks. Okay, if you chose the new Palladini Tarot, then this is your reading. For those who chose the new Palladini Tarot deck, here in loving accurate guidance. Okay. And I'm also going to get an oracle message from the top deck. I'm just using these cards as kind of like an oracle because they are just so large and beautiful. Feels like this top one. Okay. And we're going to get a surrender oracle card as well. All right, so let's take a look. So if you chose the new Palladini Tarot, you've got the Three of Swords, Four of Pentacles, Three of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles. So it's interesting because I wasn't planning on reading any reversals, but the fact that the Three of Cups came up in reverse, in addition to these cards, feels appropriate somehow. It feels like it was important for that to happen. So I'm just going to leave that like that. It's interesting because you've got 2 3s and a 4 and an ace. So they're all very, they're minor arcana cards on the lower end of the numerology. So it does feel like if you chose this deck, you're sort of at a crossroads in a way that is going to develop into something that takes on more significance in your life, but you're still in the very beginning stages of it. So don't worry if things feel a little bit unclear right now, or even if you feel kind of left out in some way by life. And I'm saying that in a very general way. Like for some of you, it might be that you feel isolated from friends or family or people in general that share your values. Some others of you might be feeling a little bit concerned about finances. But whatever it is, it's almost like you're at this like midnight point, I guess, where you don't really see the light of dawn yet, but you're also, a few hours past sunset. So it's like you just feel a little bit discombobulated. But, you know, I really get a sense with these cards that, you know, everything is going to be fine. Like there is this new seed that's coming into your life. It's like something's germinating, something is going to be bringing back your sense of enthusiasm and passion with the Ace of Pentacles coming up in your future. This could be within like 3 weeks, I would say. You could be really stepping into this and feeling it very strongly. But if you're not feeling it right now, that's okay, because you have the Three of Swords with the Four of Pentacles and then the Three of Cups in reverse. So it almost makes me wonder, like, if some of you are maybe feeling like the people that you've surrounded yourself with, like a few of you might be feeling like the people that you have as connections in your life right now, that you're not really on the same path anymore, or that for some reason, like, effort isn't being put into the relationships. And I feel like there could be a little bit coming from you with the Four of Pentacles. You might be holding back because, well, there's probably a lot of reasons, because there's a lot of you that are tuning into this reading, but with the Four of Pentacles, you may feel guarded in some way. And I feel like when I'm looking at this, I feel like it's like this guardedness that's coming through seems to be more out of habit in a way. Like, I don't know if some of you have gotten a little bit more removed from others, or if you've just gotten a little bit withdrawn because you've seen that something may not be quite right for you in a relationship setting or a friendship setting. You might be realizing that, you know, someone in your life is just not really a connection that is good for you. So you're kind of pulling back, but at the same time, it doesn't feel to me like you've really reached out to make those new connections yet, right? So that's what I mean. Like, you're at that midnight point where you're kind of in between worlds, or you're in between chapters, and it can feel kind of disorienting. Some of you, if you're like feeling concerned about finances with the Three of Swords, the Four of Pentacles is like coming through to say, like, hang in there, and just mind your spending. One thing that actually comes to mind, because as I'm filming this, the cryptocurrency world has been crashing very hard, but looking at these cards, if you are one of my viewers who is also into crypto, it's almost like kind of a funny message. It's like, don't worry, just hodl, you know? Like, that's kind of the message I would get with this, is like, don't worry. It's like, yeah, it's disappointing right now, but hang on, because, you know, things will turn up again. And you don't want to, you know, have taken losses and then realize that, you know, you could have done a lot better if you just hung on a bit longer. So, you know, again, this is not financial advice or, you know, anything to be construed as such, because I'm not a financial advisor, but that is something that if I did this reading for myself and I was, you know, worried about that, that's something that I would see, is like, just hang in there, basically. But the Three of Cups with this in reverse, I almost feel like, if this is like financial concerns, I feel like you might want to join some sort of community surrounding business, or for some of you, if you're an entrepreneur, for example, getting involved in a meetup or a group or a mastermind or something like that, because I feel like you just need people around you who inspire you about your business or about your creativity, about your craft. If you're an artist of any kind or an entrepreneur of any kind, it's like you might just be needing a little bit of a pick-me-up through connection with the community, you know, that is going to be supportive for you in your career. So just maybe reaching out and allowing yourself to be inspired by the success and the expansion that other people are experiencing, right? It's not about comparing yourself to anyone else, right? If you're an author, it could be about joining a writing group or something, and maybe you're like, oh my gosh, everybody in this group is so talented. What am I doing here? You know, you're kind of feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome, but don't get into that, because this is your path. You know, this is for you, something that is so inspiring and so uplifting and so grounded as well, and something that you can really serve others with. with the Ace of Pentacles is indicated here. So it's a new path opening up for you. Let's take a look at your Thoth card. You have the Six of Cups, which is pleasure. And you have surrender to setting limits. Interesting. So again, we have this kind of back and forth theme between like something, because the Six of Cups can be like a social card, in the sense that it can represent friendships, particularly friendships that we've had for a long time, but also, you know, any kind of friendship, where we really feel like the person is a kindred spirit. But then you have the surrender to setting limits card. So it's like new potential for positive relationships coming in, and at the same time you're having to set some boundaries with the relationships that you may already have, which could be problematic. The surrender to setting limits card says, it is healthy to set boundaries in relationships. Practice expressing your needs and remember that no is a complete sentence. So it's really beautiful. And it does really go with, you know, the reading so far, because with that Three of Cups being in reverse, you know, it really does speak to that. It really echoes and amplifies that message of, if you're feeling disharmonious or dissatisfied with the relationships in your life, it might be because you need to set some more boundaries, and it may also be time to make some connections that are very intentional, you know, with people who inspire you, right? And again, if it comes down to money or business, don't worry if things seem to be slow right now for you financially, or if, you know, your portfolio is down, or if your business is a little slower. Don't worry, because it is going to pick up. All right. You have this fresh energy coming in when it comes to money and finances, which is going to be really nice. So that was your reading. I hope that's helpful. And please let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts. All right, so if you chose the Nap Hall Tarot, then you are someone that I can really relate to, because I love this deck, and I just think it's so beautiful. So let's go ahead and get into your reading. What are the messages for the people who chose this deck? Please, guides and angels, give us clear and loving guidance for those who were choosing this deck. All right, and let's get you an oracle message from the Thoth deck. This is an oversized Thoth deck. I absolutely love it. I'll put a link below. I just think it's so beautiful. Okay. All right, so let's take a look here. We've got Seven of Wands, King of Pentacles, Eight of Swords, and the Eight of Cups. Wow. Okay, so if you chose this deck, the Nap Hall Tarot, I think one of the things that is really clear is it's almost like this reading is saying it's go time. I think that you are at this time in your life, and over the next few weeks, it's almost like your life is sort of saying it's your move. Like if you're playing a chess game, you know, it's almost like, okay, what are you going to do? Because the Seven of Wands, and it also shows this feather. I don't know if you guys can see in this, card, but there's a feather inside of a triangle at the top. And one of the things that I get with that symbolism, what is just unlocking for me right now, is the Seven of Wands can be a card of kind of standing your ground or rising to meet a challenge. And a lot of times that challenge, because it's Wands energy, it has to do with your creativity, or it has to do with bravery, you know, and kind of standing up for things that you believe in. And it's interesting too that we have all four suits represented. We've got fire, earth, air, water. So it's like you are in a situation where you have something to overcome. You have some kind of hurdle, but there's a real opportunity for transcendence in this hurdle. Because I almost feel like when I look at this, I just keep hearing like light as a feather. And when I think about that in the context of sort of like the puzzles of the Seven of Wands, right? Like the Rider-Waite card shows the guy standing on top of the hill, and he's sort of kind of sparring a little bit with the people below him. And he's got two different shoes on in that image. So it's almost like he's straddling two different worlds, or he's in between two different sides of himself. And it implies a little bit of like a struggle, right? But it's not a bad struggle. Like that's the thing I get from this is you can choose to experience this kicking and screaming, or you can choose to have serenity. Basically, if you have this deck, it's if you chose this deck, this reading is really here to tell you that you have, just like the magician having all of the tools in front of him, you've got the pentacles, you've got the swords, you've got the cup, you've got your wands. So you have of all the things that you need. The situation is not ready-made for you in the sense that like you're not walking up to a perfectly aligned, totally organized, absolutely easy situation, but you have everything that you need to succeed. So whatever, I know that's kind of vague, but I really feel like that is the message here, is like if you can pull yourself together and assess the situation and really think about all the moving pieces and make, you know, a plan for yourself, you will absolutely achieve what you're trying to achieve, even if it feels difficult, or even if it feels like a stretch. You know, you might have some goals that you're like, I just feel like this isn't going to happen. You know, like you might like be saying that to yourself at different points. But when I look at these cards, it's like, it is going to happen. It is going to happen. You just need to be patient and take a deep breath and be calm in the middle of whatever you're working on and whatever you're dealing with. Because I don't, even though you have the Eight of Cups and the Eight of Swords, which can be kind of like more emotionally frustrating cards, I actually don't pick up a strong energy of emotional frustration with this. I actually feel like you're gonna go everywhere. Like you're gonna have moments over the next few weeks where you feel on top of the world and you feel very proud of yourself or very accomplished, or you're achieving financial goals maybe that are really just coming together for you beautifully and exactly as you wanted them to, and represent like bigger financial goals for yourself as well. So things like that are coming together, but at the same time, it's almost like you're kind of wrestling with something else, like maybe in your personal life. Or maybe you're gonna publish something, you know, in the relatively near future, and you're worrying a lot about how other people are gonna perceive it with the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Cups could be like the decision to walk away from something as well, that you're sort of realizing that decision has already been made within you, and then having to actually carry it out is, you know, different than just knowing that that's what you have to do. But there is something that you're sort of grappling with. But the King of Pentacles here shows me that you're going to succeed with this energy. It's just a matter of being strategic, not giving into any like childish urges, like not giving into anything that would be just not in your best interest, you know? Like the King of Pentacles is a very mature card. In my opinion, the kings and queens sort of represent refinement of qualities. And here it's a mastery. It could be a mastery of money and finance. It could also be a mastery of like your business or finding your groove when it comes to your craft. But it could also just be mastery of something, linguistic or, verbal or written, but you are mastering some skills that are going to pay off for you in the future. Right. And so I think the message here is to really stay dedicated to that process of mastery, that process of developing yourself, and stay disciplined. So one of my best tips or advice I could give you is over the next few weeks, if there's something that you want to achieve, carve out some time every day to just sit and, work towards that goal, whatever it is, but just make sure that every day you're doing something, ideally at the same time every day, if you can make that happen. Sometimes it's not always logistical, but do something every day around the same time, even if it's just a quick prayer or a meditation or a quick visualization, or if you're, writing a grant paper or something like that, then it's just getting, in front of your word processor and just typing out more or editing more of that document every single day, so that you can move forward with this, because really it's going to be your own effort that causes the success to happen, but you will be able to have the success. I just think, it's going to be about being strong. Tap into your strength this month. If you drew this, or if you chose this deck, this is an invitation for you to be strong in your life. This is an opportunity for you to prove to yourself that you can rely on yourself, and not just rely on yourself to meet mundane demands or to do the same thing that you've always done, but you can rely on yourself to be adaptable. You can rely on yourself to change. You can rely on yourself to be disciplined. You can rely on yourself to become more than you've ever been, which is sounding funny to say that, but trust in your power to evolve and transcend this month. And you can experience this lightly. You can hold the obstacles lightly and have serenity. Okay? So interesting. You got the 5 of Cups, which Crowley calls disappointment, and you got in the surrender deck, surrender to effortlessness. That's so funny. Because again, with the 5 of Cups being also called disappointment in this deck, I feel like this really comes back to the 8 of Swords and the 7 of Wands, that energy of grappling. I don't think this is disappointment in terms of your overall goals, because you do have the effortlessness card. So it's saying, maybe you want something to come through or to happen, and it's taking a while. I feel like the energy keeps moving around. And so you're kind of trying to hit a moving target. But the message here is relax. You're, taking the archery example. The target's moving, right? You have to just relax your shoulders, take a deep breath, stretch your arms, maybe put down your bow for a second and just wiggle around and dance and do something weird, get out of your normal mindset, right? Because at some point over the next several weeks, you will pick up that bow again, and when you go to aim, without even thinking, without even logicking it, without planning it, without foretelling it, without worrying about it, you will hit the target exactly. It's a matter of relaxing into that instinctual intelligence that you have, and also staying non-reactive, because when you're going through a challenge, the more that you react to it, the more that you don't handle it well, right? The more frustrating and the more difficult it becomes. When you just relax and let it go, then you will find oftentimes that you feel better, first of all, and that eventually that energy of relaxation lets everything come together. The arrow will find the target perfectly in its own time. You don't have to focus too hard. Don't try too hard. That's basically the message of this reading, is don't try too hard. Yes, you have to focus. Yes, you have to do things. Yes, you have to transcend, but be a feather about it. Just float. So it says, stop pushing so hard. The art of living means going with the flow instead of trying to force the river. So, yeah, so beautiful. All right, guys, I hope that these readings have been helpful to you. Please let me know in the comments if you have any feedback that you want to share, or if you would just like to say anything to let me know your thoughts on the readings. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you next time.